I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're delving into the rich history and techniques of Filipino martial arts with Reynaldo Galang. He is a author of an amazing book, a couple of amazing books, actually. The first one is called Warrior Arts of the Philippines and Masters of the Blade. These books are comprehensive books that feature thousands of photos and detailed combative applications and provide an in-depth look into the legacy and the cultural treasures of Filipino martial arts. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing books. The links are below this interview. Reynaldo, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Glad to be with you. Glad that you have me on your show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love martial arts. I've studied a little Taekwondo in my day, but I've never really known much about the Filipino martial arts until I saw your books and read your books. Tell us a little bit about the Filipino martial arts.
Well, the Philippine martial arts have existed a long time, but it's sort of more on the fringes and more on the select side, because most of our adherents are law enforcement and military people, because they like the no-nonsense, practical approach of Filipino martial arts. And besides, the reality of combat is that you always approach it with weapons, not empty hands, with weapons. You don't send soldiers out in the battlefield without weapons. They always go with weapons.
Right.
We always fight with those, and that is the specialty of Filipino martial arts. Unlike the traditional other martial arts, we start with empty hands and then develop into weapons. We start with weapons, and as a last resort, we end up with empty hands. And that is a last resort, not the first.
Right.
Not the first. Yeah, okay.
Well, it sounds very practical. Of course, like you said, if you're going into combat, you're going to have a shield and a sword or more with you, not simply putting up your dukes and trying to fight it out. That's not a good idea. You don't last long like this if somebody is wielding a sword, right?
Yeah, you might have the idea of being noble, but your opponent is not.
Exactly, exactly. What are the Tagalog names for the martial arts in the Philippines?
Yeah, there are three names used for the Filipino martial arts. This is Arnis, Kali, and Eskrima. All of them mean the same thing. It's like it's fighting with weapons.
Gotcha.
Arnis comes from the word harness. It's actually from a Spanish word harness, which is actually the trimmings that we saw on martial artists that have bands around their arms, legs, etc., etc. Those are actually pre-battle tourniquet that to minimize the bleeding. That's what it is. And Kali is attributed to edged weapons. So when you hear the word Kali, you know it's not stick. They're not talking about stick. They're talking about edged weapons.
Right.
And Eskrima is again another derivation from Spanish, which means skirmish or engagement in battle.
Your books actually have detailed pictures of how to use these techniques, correct?
Yes. They are still pictures on the important stages, or what we call the impact points of the technique. What happens, what the targets are, or what the attack is, or what the defense is.
Absolutely.
So it's actually difficult to learn from books. Like any other martial art, books will serve as a reference guide, as a lookup when you're practicing, but you must have actual one-to-one practice and actual participation. You cannot learn from books, much like you would like to learn how to dance from books. It's not going to happen.
Exactly. Tell us a little bit about your background in the martial arts. When did you get started in the Filipino martial arts?
Well, the Filipino martial arts have always been a part and parcel of my heritage because
Mm-hmm.
I come from Pampanga, which is where the use of the devil weapon was predominant.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, aside from my Filipino martial art, I started getting into other system of martial art, both Oriental and Western, when I was just just before my teen years, around 11 years old. I started around 11 years old, yeah. And it came from a circuitous route because I wasn't really into other martial arts at that time. I was into photography, and
Mm-hmm.
I just to to get into to watch a demonstration of classic judo, and I was
Mm-hmm.
taking photos of this of their performance, and I was so enhanced and enchanted by their performance. So I said,
Mm.
I got to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that although the throwing techniques were very nice, as a
Mm-hmm.
student, you learn to be the one being thrown as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So are the photos in these books photos you've taken? Are you the
Uh, most
photographer?
most of them, but like in Warrior Art of the Philippines, some of those are classic historical photos that
Mm-hmm.
were given to me by the different styles and organizations. If you look at Warrior Art of the Philippines, it does not it's not concentrated on the system that I practice.
Mm.
There are six different styles there, and that was actually a groundbreaker in the Filipino martial art because normally each Filipino martial art will promote their system, ignoring the others because you know you promote your own. But with the
Exactly.
Mario in the Philippines, I went across reach across boundaries, and so I had five other styles, major styles,
Mm-hmm.
to contribute, and they were surprised initially until they saw that I was not after their secrets. I was just after promoting Filipino martial arts in general.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, one
Each
one of the
discipline thinks their discipline is superior. Each
yeah.
gym thinks their techniques are superior. But tell us about your books. You've got four books on display there. We were talking about two of them today. What is your most recent book?
The most recent is the Masters of the Blade, that one there.
Masters of
Yeah,
the Blade.
and
And
that concentrates on edge weapon, short edge weapon. So basically the knife,
Mhm.
how to use the knife. But the thing is, to be able to defend against the knife, you must also learn how to use it, so that you know all the tips and tricks that comes with holding a knife. So if you don't know how to use it, it's difficult to know how to defend against it.
Right. Exactly, exactly. Most things you have to be able to use it in order to defend against it, and that's
Mm.
also true, of course, with knives. And Warrior Arts of the Philippines, that's an overview of the martial arts.
The overview of like I said, the six different systems, six
Mhm.
different styles of Filipino martial arts, and all of them are internationally known. Like on the cover, that is from the Balintawak group, which is one of the biggest groups around the world, right? Then after that, we have the Lightning Scientific Arnis, the Lameco Modern Arnis, which actually was I would say would be the most popular because it's taught in a lot of schools as a physical education in the Philippines,
Mhm.
and it's rudimentary enough that people can easily embrace it, much like what Taekwondo did with their martial arts. So it's popular, and a lot of people practice modernities more than I guess more than any of the other styles.
Mm.
And then we also have of course the one that I practice, the Illustissimo system, and then the San Miguel. So there are these six styles that I covered in Warrior Arts of the Philippines, and that began a lifelong friendship with all these other systems. That so much so that they also feature me. They now feature me in their books. You know.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you are the expert, so I can see why they feature you in their books. And we're so happy that you joined us today to discuss these books. Reynaldo Galang has written multiple books on the Philippine martial arts, including Warrior Arts of the Philippines and Masters of the Blade. These comprehensive books feature thousands of photos and detailed combative applications, providing an in-depth look into the legacy and cultural treasures of the Filipino martial arts. The author explores the tactics and concepts that make these arts essential for self-protection and combat training worldwide. Reynaldo, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.